Hey, welcome to Design with Miyoshi. Today I want to talk a little bit about stages that groups go through. Not really group dynamics, but a little bit about group dynamics. I learned this from large aerospace company when I was going through a facilitator training there. And so it's been many years, but I still like this model of group dynamics. So every group goes through these stages. They may not go from one to the other, one to the next to the next. They might go all over the place, but these stages kind of demonstrate group dynamics a little bit. So the first stage is forming. It's when you first get together with a group. You may or may not know even people's names, so you have to get to figure out who's who does what well, who does what not so well, maybe even people's names. So that's the forming stage. Nothing gets done in the forming stage because you're really just trying to figure out who does what well and who's going to do what for your team. Norming stage is when that's when stuff kind of happens. You figured out who does what, you've gotten everybody's roles, and now what you're going to do is you're going to put some work into it and get your group really going in the right direction. So work gets done there, and it's a good pace. Everything's happy, people are doing well. Storming phase is when something happens in the group to upset things. Things don't get done in the storming stage because there's group fighting, there's conflict, there's who knows what's happening, but for some odd reason, or for some reason, whether it's odd or not, people just can't get any work done because there's friction in the group. There's stuff that's happening that doesn't lead to any work getting done. Performing is a high-level stage where you get lots and lots of stuff done. Everything's humming. All the gears are in the right place. All the pieces are doing what they're supposed to be doing. You are all on the same page, doing what needs to be done to get something done. That performing stage is a high level of performance, and very few people get there. Very few groups get there. They often stay back here in the norming stage. They get stuff done, but it's not at a really high level all the time. They're just trying to, make it through and get things done as best they can. But if you get to that performing stage, that's a wonderful place to be. And unfortunately, you can't always sustain that for long. And maybe you have such a dynamic group that you can sustain it for a long period of time. But still, most of the time, you'll be back here in the norming stage, which is fine. If you ever add people to your group, then you have to go back to the forming stage. Hopefully, it won't be for very long. But if you add people or subtract people from your group, you'll go back to that forming stage and have to then jump back, hopefully, to the norming or performing stage. And again, sometimes you'll have things that happen in this storming stage, and maybe you have to, because things are going so poorly, that you actually have to kick out somebody from your team, and then you have to go back to the forming stages again. So again, these things are not necessarily in order. You may go back and forth between things, one way or the other. You could go across ways, however you can go. Imagine going through the stages. But these are kind of some of the stages that groups go through. And it's nice to be in this norming and performing stage to get something done. It's not so nice to always be in this forming or storming stage where people are changing groups all the time, or where you're having infighting happening. Those are not necessarily the best places to be. And like I said, you want to hopefully get to a place where you're performing, doing things really well at a high level, but you're happy being in the norming stage as well. So, group dynamics. Every group kind of goes through these things. And yes, it's very simplified. Yes, it's just an example. Yes, it's just a model that you can use, hopefully to your best advantage, and say, oh, I remember that Miyoshi said, we're having fights now, so we're going through that storming stage. We just have to figure out what the problem is so we can get back to norming or performing. All right, well, anyway, a very simplified model of group dynamics, but it's a fun thing to do. It's a fun way to think about how groups operate, and so hopefully it helps you when you are working in a group as well. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Design with Miyoshi.